Hey, IronPigs fans, Mike Ventola with you. Very happy to have Ryan Kelly, the general manager of Service Electric's TV2 Sports. And Ryan, first and foremost, thank you so much for joining me. And secondly, how's everything going with you?
Well, of course, Mike, I always love talking to you. We're making the best of everything here at TV2 and Service Electric in general. Of course, it's not the best circumstances. We're supposed to be playing today. We're recording it on a Monday. We would have had a Reading morning game today and an Iron Pig game at night. So we are excited. That was the first time we ever would have done something like that, a doubleheader. But yeah.
I guess I was about to say, obviously, with everything that's going on, and but you and your team, you've been working hard and creating content for fans and for all your subscribers at Service Electric. And has it been kind of an interesting challenge despite having no true live events, no live baseball games to be televising at this point?
Well, to take you back to March 11th, I called IronPigs general manager Kurt Landis that day, and I said, "Hey, I've been hearing some things coming from MLB, NHL, AHL. Do you guys have a plan?" At that point, he said, "We're going to be playing opening day. I look forward to seeing you there, whether it's with fans or without fans." I was like, "We'll see you there." That night, we did a Phantoms game. It was the last live sports event we did in 2020. It was March 11th. And then the next day, they suspended AHL play. They suspended spring training. And here we are. So we had to immediately start shifting focus. Without any sports to cover, our daily sports scene show had to kind of pivot to news. And we had people in the office at that point still. And then when we started to realize we can't have all these people in the office, we can only have a certain amount of people to keep socially distant, we had to send people home. But we have ways of, like, not just through what we're doing right now, Zoom. We have live view units, which is a cellular unit used in television that sends stuff back. So Dan Freemuth, the host of Sports Scene, is in his house in his apartment in Jersey City doing the show live every day. And the crew, Christy Fulkerson, Doug Heater, Steve Degler, Gwen Begley, Cassie Schmidt, Courtney DuPont, Sean Fritz, they're all going out there and scouring the Lehigh Valley for stories. And we've been getting a lot of great content. And it's not like Sports Scene anymore. It's Sports Scene presents the daily COVID-19 and Lehigh Valley update. And that's Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. And we still do it. It's a new show every day.
And what's been great about it as well too is because in regards to our partnerships as well, you've already been able to broadcast some virtual baseball as well too, in partnering with WFMZ TV, and also too most recently televising a character cruise through a Coca-Cola park. So in a lot of ways, even despite all the negativity that's going on with this disease, but has this been kind of challenging to you guys in ways that you feel like you've never been challenged before?
I think everyone in every industry, especially in television, you see it constantly that the industry is changing and we're learning new ways to do things. There is actually companies now that are digitally removing Apple AirPods from people's ears for late night interviews. Our entire industry of television is changing because, it was like, all right, we'll pause, but now, like, all right, this is how it is. Figure out how we're going to do shows. So the virtual games were fun. It threw Zambelli off a little bit. He wasn't sure what he was watching. But watching Dave Kaufman, our resident PlayStation 4 player, played the games through and did a good job of keeping them interesting. He played I think we did like 15 games before we got those good ones. And they were fun to actually do something for opening weekend. And the character cruise was probably the most interesting remote any of us has ever done before. It involved microwave cameras. Sometimes you see us around the ballpark with the big poles. Those go through microwave signals back to the truck in HD. So it involved 2 microwave cameras in our minivan in front of us, and then we are in a truck following that minivan. And I was punching up between that and a camera that was stationed there, and we were sending it back here to the studio where Christy Fulkerson and Steve Degler were announcing the parade. So it was not like we never did a production as the production truck itself was moving along in the parade. So it presented a challenge. Kurt was like, "Hey, if you could figure it out, let's do it." And Darren Munchlong and Jake and Dave Coffin, we put our minds together and we figured out how to do it.
Which is
mainly led by Munch.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, look, your team, you guys are all working so hard and doing everything you can to put content out there for folks in the Lehigh Valley. But one thing too that you guys have been able to do is not even so much of what you've done with us is, but reach out to, you know, all levels, you know, from a lot of players and coaches at the high school level and players and coaches at the collegiate level. You guys have been able to get in touch with guys and gals that have, you know, even not even currently have been playing sports or, you know, it's been 10, 15 years, you know, how's it been, you know, able to see your team really kind of even go into yesteryears to kind of bring people back to the forefront and kind of revisit some old faces?
Yeah, they've been doing an absolute great job. We even, you know, you've hung out with me and one of my best friends, Meredith Marakovitz, down in Florida. The three of us have gone out a few times. So you know what a close friend Meredith is. She's done a few things for us. And she might join in on a, I'll tell you about some new program we have coming later that Meredith might join in on. But they've been just finding everybody and anybody. And most of us are sitting home and, you know, we're free to talk. So it's been great that everyone in the Lehigh Valley has been participating. And the reporters, I can't say enough, what a great job they've been doing under Dan Freemuth, the coordinating producer of Sports Scene. He's been really keeping the team together. And that's what kept us alive for that 2 months between, you know, that Phantom game I talked about and now. But we're on the verge of launching starting Monday, May 18th, all new. We're going to kind of shift focus. We're not going to be two sports anymore because we're not just two sports. We're going to just call ourselves the Service Electric Network from now on, just for now. And we've got all new programming, including IronPigs programming. Every Monday from 7 to 8 o'clock, you'll be able to watch a Pigs playback where we take a game and digest it down to an hour. And Mike and Steve and Doug and, you know, other people could join us and talk about what in that game meant something. And they're historic games. We have 13 years of IronPigs ball games, and I definitely want to do the game where Pat McCarthy was rubbing your head.
Oh yes,
I kept shooting it in the booth. I was directing that night, and we were shooting it. We kept putting it on air, and have you guys call it and tell your story. But yeah, the first night on Monday is going to be the first Iron Pig game ever. So they're going to cover that in detail, and Tuesday nights will be Music Fest rewinds. We go through best Music Fest rewinds, and that's 7 to 8. Wednesday, Phantoms Files, or Christy Fulkerson, Dan Freemuth, and Steve Degler talk about their favorite Phantom moments. Thursday is just going to be inside the TV2 vault. You'll see high school football, basketball, volleyball, all sorts of awesome, great high school games, which we have tons of in our vault. And if you have ideas for them, email us at talktous@tv2sports.com. We'll listen to any. If we have the game, we'll get it on the list. And Friday is going to be really cool. Jake Leiby has been producing a WXW Rewind show, which is a local wrestling promotion that was ran by the Anoa'i family. I'm probably butchering that last name, but it's off on the Wild Samoans. And the Rock is actually part of that. And you'll see The Rock in this show. There's been so many huge professional wrestling names that have come through the Lehigh Valley, and we produce these events. So we're going through our archive and digging them out. You'll see The Undertaker, Kane, the acolytes like The Rock, Owen Hart, Mankind, Mick Foley, all the great names have been through here. And so many people, Batista, who's a big, you know, Hollywood movie star now, he trained right here in the Lehigh Valley. So we have a lot of his early matches too. Really cool stuff. That's Fridays. And then every Monday through Friday, 8 to 9, we're bringing back the Service Electric Polka Show.
Nice.
I know you'll like that, Mike.
Oh, absolutely.
Here's a tip for you, Mike. If you record yourself, and this goes to any subscriber watching, record yourself dancing to the polkas, email them to us at talktous@tv2sports.com, and we'll put you in the show, dancing to the polkas. That's Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 o'clock. The Service Electric Polka Show returns.
I'll see what I could do about that. I have to get some polka music, but I'm sure I can go on YouTube. Look, folks just saw me recently dress up as Super Mario. So, you know, what's the big difference here at this point? So
No. Well, you could watch the Polka Show on Monday.
Right.
You'll have your polka music right there.
That's true. Yep.
And then dance along to it. And maybe, I'll get Pat to do it too in his Pooh Bear costume.
Oh my God, without question, because look, Pat's up for anything, so which will be great. So maybe we get like Matt Province involved in some capacity. Let's get the old Iron Pig, get the whole Iron Pigs crew involved. So, but Ryan too, it's great with all this great content you guys have been working on and continuing to work on too. And you mentioned earlier too, 13 years of Iron Pigs baseball, and you can remember as well as everybody in that within Service Electric, going back to the first Iron Pigs game being televised. From where it was back then to where it is now, what has been the most gratifying experience throughout this whole ride of getting a chance to be a part of Iron Pigs baseball?
Well, when I started, I was there for year one. I became the pre-show coordinating producer in year two, and that was a role I had for a while. And now, through all the years of interviewing all these players, I'm always been a Phillies fan. I love the Phillies. I'll always be a Phillies fan. But now I'm more of a fan of the whole game. There's so many players who played on the Iron Pigs and played on other teams. Great guys who sit down and do interviews with us. And you've experienced it too, Mike, doing the interviews for the pre-show. And they're just great guys, and you want to root for them no matter what team they play for. Aaron Judge is one that comes to mind. Is just a sweet man who was just very nice and gracious and did a great interview. There's so many. I can't name all of them, but, they're not always going to be on the Phillies, or they might not have ever been, but they still have come through Coca-Cola Park. Pedro Martinez was a guy who did a rehab and a bullpen experience back in the day with the Iron Pigs. He threw a bullpen session. I think he rehabbed one game. He threw an inning or two. He was just a gracious, wonderful man. Really did a great interview. So I want to root for everybody. I like players. I'll watch a game and be like, oh, that guy was a great guy. I hope he does well in his career. So I just love watching baseball. Watching Aaron Altair and Ben Lively and the KBO. Aaron Altair is a great guy. I don't know if you remember, I think you were the media, your province's media guy at the year where Doug Heater couldn't get back in time to do the interview. So I did the interview.
Yep.
And then we had Doug redo it with my questions. But Aaron and I just kept laughing at each other because it was just so absurd that I had to conduct an interview with him. So he's a great guy too. So I'm rooting for the KO Dinos.
Yep.
Team. Yeah. That's my team right now in the KBO. If I could ever stay up that late to watch a game.
And I was about to say it was fun actually watching Altair take Ben Lively deep recently, and
Iron Pig on Iron Pig, yeah,
which was awesome too. I know David Buchanan is pitching in the league as well too, and I think
another great guy. I don't know if he still has his house. He bought a house here in Lehigh Valley.
Yep.
He dug in here, so he was another wonderful guy to deal with, and I always root for Dave Buchanan.
But I was about to ask too, because of your time as doing the pregame show, and coordinating and making sure everything, ran smoothly as it has been all these years. Are there players and coaches that you've been able to keep in touch with throughout the years, even, whether you're going back to year one or even currently, that guys you've gotten close with?
There's one that I still talk to this day, John Swomey. We did the Swomey, the Money Sundays with him. He was just, we were about the same age. We'd hang out a lot, and we had a lot in common. And we stayed in touch after he got out of baseball, and we still kind of were on Snapchat with each other. I kind of talked to Tag Bozide here and there because him and I did the most interesting man in baseball things. You could still find those on YouTube. It was on MLB Network too. Those were a lot of fun. But I'm not really in contact. Like, people come in and, you strike up friendships, but it's kind of like summer camp. It only lasts, that season. But John Swomey is a guy that I think we'll always have a friendship.
I know this is going to be a hard question to answer just because there's so many games. Is there a favorite game or a favorite moment on the field that you can always think back to say, man, this was Iron Pigs baseball at its finest?
The Michael cycle, because when he hit the grand slam the year later on his birthday, because we interviewed him and said, you hit a cycle last year. He goes, I don't know, maybe a grand slam this year. And it was the other way. It was either that way or the other way around. One year he hit the grand slam, next year he hit the cycle, or vice versa. And I just remember that night we're like, he's going to do it. He's going to do it. And he did it. Michael Franco. He was a great guy. Didn't know English the best, but gave his all every interview. Never turned an interview down.
Which is great too. And of course, Michael got the opportunity to be back with the Iron Pigs this past season for a little bit. And, too, and, and all the fun stuff that goes on the field, as you said earlier, you're directing things a lot of the time behind the scenes, for our folks that are watching this, what can you tell a little bit about what you do behind the scenes that's been allowed the Iron Pigs baseball to become so successful? Why so many people watch it on TV?
Well, it's a complete team effort, and that's not just a cliche. Like, no one person could put together our broadcast, and it starts with Derek Squeezer Colehammer and Dave Kaufman and Ian Boyd, who now produce the pre-show with you and Doug Heater. They're getting there at like 1 o'clock, 1:30 every day. The rest of the crew shows up about 2:30, and while they're doing the pre-show, we call it faxing. It's checking facilities on all the cameras, making sure, turning them on, like building them if we're coming back you guys are coming back from the road, checking to make sure everything works, and checking to make sure all the audio works, video works. We have a lot of our audio is routed up to you guys in the radio booth, so we have to make sure that works every time you guys are back from the road. There's a few hours. It's a lot of television's a lot of hurry up and wait. So we get there. And then it's waiting while Squeezer and Lil Dave are building the interviews and getting the stuff together. We shoot the open with Steve Degler and Mike Zambelli around 6 o'clock. 6:30, we're live with the pre-show, and 7 o'clock first pitch, 7:05 first pitch. I don't know, never fails. It's a beautiful thing at Coca-Cola Park. And all of us, it's like our favorite place to be. It's like our second home. Kurt and all of you guys crafted, it's like they look at us Service Electric employees as like employees also of the park. We're a big family, everyone knows everyone, and we feel like we're part of it, a part of the family over there, and we're really missing it right now, every part of the crew.
No, we miss you guys too. And it's funny because like you said, as much as we treat you like family, you treat us like family. And I tell people all the time, I said, I know I do some other stuff for Service Electric, in the off season, but I feel like even though I'm an Iron Pigs employee, I feel like I'm your employee as well, because I'm on every home game, on every pre-show, like you said. And it's so much fun. And I think that's the reason why Service Electric and the Iron Pigs have been such great partners, because at the end of the day, we all have the same goal in mind, is to provide a lot of fun, a lot of great entertainment for fans when they come through the gates. But with that as well too, Ryan, and I know you worked so many games. I know some people were asking me, they wanted me to ask you, have you ever had a chance to actually sit in the stands and watch a game as a fan?
One game comes to mind. It was 2010, the MILB AAA All-Star game. We did the home run derby, which was grueling. It was pouring down rain. It got delayed. Things got moved around, and all of a sudden it came up. The director at the time couldn't handle things getting moved around, so that was miserable. Luckily, we don't have to worry about that anymore. But the next night, MILB took over. They brought their own truck in, and they did the game. We did a little pre-show that aired like with Sports Scene with Matt Province and Mike Zambelli, and then we all had tickets. So we were down in the dugout suite watching the game, and that was the last time I was there as a fan, 10 years ago, watching a game. But I wouldn't, that's great, and it's a great experience, but I wouldn't have it any other way than behind the chair, punching the cameras, with all the guys. Like, we love working it. It's how we enjoy the game. They say it's not work if you love what you do, and genuine. I can't say the word genuinely. There it is. We all love what we do here at Service Electric TV2.
And one thing too that you guys have, and I guess that even us to kind of go along with it, is compared to every other minor league team in the country, is you and your team get to televise every home game whatsoever. Whereas, some other teams throughout the country, maybe a 10-game package or a 5-game package, depending on the scenario. You broadcast every home game. Do you guys ever sit back and be like, man, as much as, like you said, as hard and as grueling the hours may be, that you're at a ballpark every night and putting on AAA baseball each and every day?
Yeah, it's great. And we also do 25 Reading Phillies games, which you sometimes are involved in. We have to rope Mike in and drag him back down to Reading sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah, to be at a ballpark every night, to walk in and your office is the best, in my opinion, and probably a fact, the best minor league ballpark in the country is Coca-Cola Park. And to have that as your office, it looks better today than the day it opened. Like you guys have all kept up and added and done things to it where it's just beautiful. It's a great place to work, and we're all privileged to show up every day and do baseball. Even when games drag on, like there's some young pitchers who just aren't doing it, and you're like, oh man, it's still you're one level below the majors, and you're doing great baseball and seeing some future major stars. So it's really a privilege for all of us to be a part of it.
One last question, Ryan, and can't thank you enough for joining me here today, is when the dust settles and all the social distancing and everything is behind us, what are you looking forward to most? And even if it's just as simple as getting back to once was, or, anything else, what's truly you looking forward to most once everything settles?
Oh, it's definitely doing live sports again. It's our bread and butter, whether it be the high school football season, the Phantoms hockey season next year. The AHL just announced that this current season that's suspended isn't happening. So we're looking forward to the 2020-2021 season happening. And IronPigs baseball. If it's not this season, next season, if it is the season, we'll be there. There's not going to be a game played in that stadium with service electric not there. I can guarantee you that, because we're all like dying to get back to work. We just, we're not used to being, 9 to 5 employees. As you know, you're not used to it either. You guys aren't used to it either. So it's odd for us. And, eventually all our spouses and boyfriends and girlfriends are going to want us the heck out of the house because they're not used to us being there either. So I know we're all looking forward to that. I think the most live sports happening, and this just being gone, and it being safe to have a beer and eat a hot dog at a ballpark again. That's what American life is, and that's what we're waiting for. We're hoping for soon.
Ryan, like I said, thank you so much for joining me. Appreciate everything that you guys do for us and your team, continuing to put out great content, not only for what you do for us, but for the high school and college communities here in the Lehigh Valley. And like you said, hopefully we're at Coca-Cola Park soon and putting on IronPigs baseball for fans.
I appreciate it, Mike.
All right. Thanks, Ryan.